and physical parasites. Now, I'm sort of familiar with the physical parasites. What do you mean by mental parasites?
Well, there is a whole new section of science called neuroparasitology. Neuro, meaning the nerves, the brain, parasitology, the study of parasites. So parasites are creatures that live in or on another creature and use that creature as a host. They use that creature for nutrition, for energy, or to transport themselves from one place to another on the planet. Now, there are groups of parasites that control the mind of the host. Now, this is really, really interesting here. And, and I started studying this many years ago and didn't realize how deep it was. And one of my teachers, Dr. Kweku Ando, he told me then, he said, you're going to learn about the parasites that control people. They control elections. They control cultures. They take over like aliens and use those people to either further their means of survival or to procreate. Now, this is real interesting. I mean, I got to calm down because I get so excited about this. These parasites, they get into the being and take over the control network. In other words, they become the pilot of your life. They'll get you to do things that you naturally would not do. Like one, for instance, and this is one of the most famous parasites now ever. It's called toxoplasma. Toxoplasma starts out its life in the guts of cats.
All right, hold that thought right there, Dr. B, on toxoplasma. We're getting real deep here, because I want to know if they can work on you remotely as well. I'll let you answer that next after the traffic and weather update on AM4. Keep staying with us, folks. We have Frenchie on the controls today, so I know everything's going to be all right. 800-450-7876 to speak to Dr. B. Before we left, you were talking about some kind of parasite that's a mental parasite. What is it? A toxic parasite, Dr. B? Tell us how that works.
Well, okay, there's two different groups of parasites that I'm going to speak of when I speak of the mental ones. This one is an actual physical parasite that lives in the brain. It's called toxoplasma. It starts off its life cycle in cats. Then it ends up in the cat feces and in the litter box. The dust from the litter box is in the home, and it is inhaled by people who live in the home. So then the parasite ends up in people. But originally what would happen was this toxoplasma would end up in the cat feces. And when cats are away from the litter box, did you know that mice and rats play in cat feces? That's the old song, or the old, the little poem or whatever it is that says when the cat's away, the mice will play in their feces. And when this particular toxoplasma parasite gets in the mouse, it takes over the brain of the mouse. It makes the mouse unafraid of the cat, and it makes the mouse fear things that normally would not fear the mouse. Like the mouse might be afraid of being out in the dark. That's not natural for a mouse. You see, it changes what they call the hippocampus of the brain. It changes the way the brain deals with information. It takes different parts of the brain and rearranges the way the information travels. You see, the fear factor is something that's supposed to protect you. It's part of survival. So you should be afraid of things like a bear. You hear a bear in the woods, to protect yourself, things like that. What this parasite does is it makes you unafraid of things that can hurt you, that can harm you, like your choices in food. It makes people choose eating foods or having activities or even reproductive or sexual activities with those who are not on the same level with them, things that could bring you down, things that lower your life force energy. things that keep you from getting to the place you call success. You know, it helps to bring on what we call in psychology is the saboteur, the natural saboteur within us. Now, look at the mouse. The mouse just walks out in front of the cat and it doesn't even run. And the cat just eats it. Toxoplasma helps the cat because the cat is now able to catch mice very easily. But this parasite is the same parasite that we now know helped to bring down what we call Kemet. Because in Kemet, it was full of cats. They love cats. And this parasite began to invade the people's minds and cause the people, the culture, to fall. The same thing happened in Rome. It happened in Greece. It happened in major societies all over the world. People began to act in a way which was not the best for their survival and for them to thrive, because this parasite, Toxoplasma, invaded their brains from cats. Now this parasite is in all the animals at the feedlot, because if you go to the feedlots, you find millions of rats and cats on the rats first of all, and you see thousands of cats all over the place at the feedlots where your animals are, where they're raising the chicken, the beef, and the pigs. When I was there, I was kept asking, what is with all the cats and rats? They said, well, they're natural. Then I found out, talking to a scientist friend of mine, that it is good to have cats and rats at the feedlot because this parasite causes animals to become domesticated. It causes them not to break away and run. It causes them not to use their power. It causes them just to wait to be controlled and herded like animals. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. They know about this? They say, yes. This is, everybody knows in science who studies parasites about this syndrome, this toxoplasmosis syndrome. So it's in the animal. Then the people eat the animal. And the people become domesticated. Now, they may march and they get mad and say, we're not standing for it. But guess what? No one stands up like they could stand up and pull together as one and take over the power of those who are oppressing you. You will not overrule your oppressor as long as you have toxoplasma throughout your community. And Carl, you know 75% of the people who are tested for toxoplasmosis have it. 75% of the people have it. I'm like,
hold on a second. Let me ask you a question, Dr. B. Can those parasites be remotely controlled?
They are remotely controlled because, see, the parasites live in colonies or groups or hives. So you have one queen parasite. She could, let's say, be, in one location, and all the parasites within like a 3-mile radius are controlled by that one queen. Now, here's what's a trip. There are beings that are using these beings. This is where it gets real heavy, so I'm going to move slow. There are beings that control toxoplasma. There are parasitic entities that are like aliens. Let's call them aliens. That actually control toxoplasma from a distance. They say these parasites are from space. They're not from the earth. Some people say, oh, Dr. B, come on, you snapped. You've lost your mind. Well, I want to know why when the astronauts go in space, do they put them in quarantine for up to 2 weeks? If there's nothing living in space, why do we need to quarantine them? Because they know that there's beings living in space. And some of these beings are billions of years older than us, much more highly developed. Some of them don't need space suits, spaceships, flying saucers. They fold time. They fold space. And their job is to survive. So you've got this parasite toxoplasma that now is being said is being controlled by another group of very, very highly intelligent parasites. And they are conquering cultures on the planet. This is what they do. They go from planet to planet, or nation to nation, city to city. They take over. And it, like I say, it deals with the part of the brain that has to do with fear. The fear factor. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of things that actually can't even hurt us. We're concerned about things that really shouldn't even be our concern. We're concerned about a lot of innuendo. And if you don't know something for a fact, it's a rumor. Unless you know it for an actual fact, just because you read it on the internet or you heard it on the news, it's not an actual fact unless you were there. So we used to know this. So we were able to focus our energy better. But when we're distracted and separated, we can't come together and unite. My question for years have been, why don't we unite better? Why is there always some problem? Then I began to study this subject. And recently I was in the bookstore, and lo and behold, there's a brand new book out. It's called This Is Your Brain on Parasites. It's written by neuroparasitologists from all over the world. And they're talking about this very thing. Even racism. They talk about racism. What is the roots of racism? Did you know it's got to do with parasites? I was like, no, whoa. Wow.
How do they explain that?
They explain that because they say what happens is there is a forgotten emotion called disgust. People forgot about this special life-saving emotion. You smell something that smells funky, you won't eat it because your nervous system, your subconscious says that's probably not clean. So what happens is that certain groups of people notice nature. So let's say a group of people notice that a lot of the bugs on the ground are brown or black. And they grow up in a place where they think everything white is clean. They equate, right, and connect brown bug with being dirty. And they automatically, over many years, begin to think that brown, black things are nasty and dirty or ignorant. But this originally was a survival thing where you were able to notice something being rotten, something being wrong, something being out of order. It was a survival thing, and it's called the forgotten sense or emotion of disgust. Certain things used to disgust us. Now a lot of things, they just become normal. And they say that people, they did this experiment. They showed a man in a suit. He looks like a businessman. And they showed another man right next to him. And, this was a picture. And they put a scar on the guy on the right. They just drew a scar on his face. Everybody thought the guy with the scar was a criminal. He was dirty. The guy who didn't have the scar was actually homeless. The guy with the scar was the owner of the big corporation. So these emotions have been changed over time to cause us to make judgments about how somebody looks. When people began to travel and meet people from other cultures, right, the prejudice in them, right, caused them to look at those people a certain way. This same prejudice is what kept you from being attacked by parasites, bacteria, and viruses. Because if you smelled the water, and the water smelled a little off, your culture didn't drink it. We don't drink that water. You see?
Hold that thought right there, Dr. B. We got to take a quick break. I'll let you finish on the other side. We got some folks who already want to speak to you. You out there can join the discussion with Dr. B. Reach out to us at 800. Guest is Dr. B. Dr. B is a leading mind and body man. He's also a doctor of metaphysics. And the number to call to speak to him, 800-450-7876. And we're getting some information you've never heard before. But Dr. B, I'm going to let you finish it up, and then we got some folks who got questions for you.
So the built-in programming that we have to keep our family safe, to keep our minds clear, to keep us healthy, is something that makes us use our senses. We smell it. We need to hear it. If something sounds not right, you know what I'm saying? We're able to hear that tone, the way that person is talking, their words sound good, but the vibration is off. You see, that protects you. If you could smell certain foods, now today they've manipulated the smell of most foods. You see, they've manipulated the taste of most foods. So you taste it, the mother tastes it first, and she says, oh yeah, it tastes good. So she gives it to the child. She gives it to the family in the name of love, not realizing that it's poison. Now, this was something that we use as a survival skill to protect us from parasites, viruses, bacteria, all of these things. But over time, it has been manipulated. Our senses have been manipulated, partially by this parasite toxoplasma, and also by us not being able to process what's going on around us, the correct way, because there's so much information coming to us. There's so many, people don't know what to believe. They talk about fake news. It's so much stuff out there. People don't know what to believe, and people are led like sheep. Now, I want to go back to racism once again. It behooves a group of parasites or beings to get people to fight amongst each other, because racism is also within the black community, white. Everybody has these isms within their own community. It keeps people separated. It keeps people fighting. Why? Because as long as you're fighting, you can't come together, and you can't beat the parasite or the alien creature or those who come in who would oppress you. So what we have to do is realize, number one, this is a setup. This is game. This is game on a big level here. We're being manipulated. There are people that are manipulating people, but then there are beings manipulating those people who are being manipulated by other beings. This is a manipulation. It's not exactly what we think it is. And our anger, our fear, our sadness, our worry, our being stuck on the past keeps us being manipulated. And one of the number one ways we're manipulated is by food. Even the organic food, people tell me, I'm a vegan, I'm a raw foodist, I'm perfect. Listen, this game is so deep, it's so far, that even in those realms, there is manipulation unless you get on your A game. Now, we're about to hit the spring equinox, the 21st of March. My teachers told me the 21st of March of the year 2017, everything was going to shift. There's a new planet in the sky. There's a new sun. All of a sudden, we got two suns in our system. I don't know if you've been hearing about that. My mentor, Mr. Gregory, has been talking about it a lot. There's a whole lot of stuff coming to be, but we're being sidetracked. The parasites that live in us, these creatures, they will take full control in the year 2017. You got to detoxify, you got to cleanse, and I was going to talk, we'll talk a little bit later about the other type of parasite.
Because we got some bunch of folks who want to speak to you, and you mentioned Dick Gregory. He was here yesterday, and he's going to be in Baltimore on Friday, actually, at Metropolitan Church, and it's 1121 West Landvale Street, and it's going to be at 7 o'clock. That's Metropolitan United Methodist Church, 7 o'clock, 1121 West Landvale Street, because he did mention you as well yesterday, Doctor B. As I mentioned, we got some other people who want to speak to you at 800-450-7876. Jay's calling us. Jay's in Maryland. He's on line 1. Jay, you're on with Doctor B. Is Jay on, Doctor B? Is Jay there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. Yeah, okay.
I just have one or two questions, Dr. B. It's good hearing from you again. Now that you've dissected the problem, how do we fight it? The parasite. It's apparent to me that as a culture, as a nation, that we are being manipulated by parasites on a global scale. And so, how do we eliminate them?
First, we recognize that this is an issue. Number two, we implement a plan of action, starting with how we eat. We have to eat food that feeds us instead of food that takes more energy to digest than it can give to the body. The average person is not up to the vibrational rate that they should be at for the year 2017. So if you change what you're putting in your body, eat foods that are very healthy, vegetables and fruits first, berries. This is the season for berries. We should be eating every kind of berry there is right now, berries, because berries are, especially blackberries, blueberries, elderberries, they're vaccinum. Vaccinum is what they got the word vaccine from. They begin to realign your immune system for the season. You have to be in alignment with the season. Nature will begin to do the work to oust these beings. It's once you're in alignment with nature. There are certain plants that pop up right around this season that we should be consuming. And cleansing, detoxification. I've finally put together one of my best programs ever. I mean, I work with people from all over the world, and we came up with this incredible program to help people who are ready, willing, and able to eradicate this on a mental, physical, spiritual level. So, we'll talk more about that later, but yes, it is easy to do if you stay focused and you do it every day. You can't be off and on with this. And you can't fight it. Like if you have ants in your house, you've got to put honey outside. You've got to redirect the energy because you can't go directly at them because they're tied into the amygdala in your brain. And there's other ones that are tied in your digestive tract. The gut bacteria is very important. So, if you keep listening, and we'll get more into, how to eradicate this because it gets deep.
All right.
Let me ask you one last question. Is it possible you can starve it? So you're saying eating a certain way. Are you starving it, or are you killing it? I mean, what are you doing when you're eating?
Well, you can't starve it because it'll eat you. It begins to eat your tissue. You can't starve it quick enough to outthink what you're going to eat. It'll make you do certain things. What you can do is daily, like I say, if you just go for a couple of days with nothing but berries. Nothing but berries. You'll set off an electrical pulse in your body that causes an upheaval in the central processing unit of these parasites. Just starting with berries. Now, it's not going to kill it, but you're setting it off. Now you're going to have to learn how to have a certain meditation. There's a certain mantra that you're going to need to say. There's a certain type of music you're going to need to listen to because some of these parasites, they are affected by musical frequencies. So it's on all levels. It's what you're eating, it's what you're listening to, it's what you're saying. You have to watch how you're talking. If you speak the language of the weak, if you speak like a victim, then you will never be able to control this thing. If you speak like a victor, like a winner, I'm a winner. I'm a conqueror. No, we haven't lost anything. It's been rough, but we are conquerors. We are winners. If you got to speak like that, and all of a sudden this thing says, "Well, wait a minute, we're losing control," because you're outsmarting it, but you can't starve it. So if you just fast, it's going to become stronger.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for your call. And I'm glad you mentioned the music, too, because we discussed that earlier this week, and I told him that you would touch on that, how we've been programmed, and we use the music to play us. 800-450-7876. Ray's calling from New York. He's on line 2. Ray, you're on with Doctah B.
Yeah, Doctah B. Now, I'll give you the questions. Now, one about a bull, a deer, and peppermint oil. The bull, about a month ago or so, there was a bull in a slaughterhouse in Queens. It was at a halal slaughterhouse. The bull escaped, ran for his life, and they said, well, when they catch the bull, they were going to return him back to the slaughter. They were going to let him go and send him to a farm to live out his life. But what they did was they kept tranquilizing the poor bull, and I don't mean once or twice, I mean several dozen times, and the bull died. With the deer, this is last year, it was a one-horned deer, and it found its way down to Harlem, up in Harlem. And it was there for about 3 weeks. And the people there, gangbangers, people, everybody, they were feeding the deer. Well, the city said, well, since the deer was here, they had to execute the deer for his own good. People said, no, let the deer live. And in the process of transferring the deer down to the animal shelter, they killed the deer. Now, the question about the bull wanted to live, but I don't know if there were cats in there. So you were saying that if the cats were there, that would make the animals more docile. But that bull wasn't docile. That bull saw a chance to escape, and he escaped. Unfortunately, he got murdered. And did you want the last question before you answer the question about the deer? You know, what was going on with the deer and the bull? You want the question about the peppermint oil?
If you give me the peppermint, then I'll roll it all up for you.
Okay. I know, I've been trying to study different oils, and I know if you mop your floor, people aromatherapy and herbs, that you mop your floor with.
See, well, hang on a second, Ray. We got to check the traffic and weather in the DMV. I'll let you pose your question about the oils on the other side. Folks, you too can join the discussion. Reach out to us, 800-450-7876 to speak to Dr. B. We'll take all of your calls next on AM 1450, also FM 95.9. Thank you for staying with us, folks. Our guest is Dr. B. Before we get back to Dr. B, let me just tell you who's coming up in the next few days. So some of our power talkers are going to be here. Dr. Pat Newton and also Tony Browder. Also, activist David Banner is going to stop by, and Hollywood executive Tim Hutchinson. So tell your friends to keep it locked on AM 1450 and FM 95.9. Dr. B, as I mentioned, is a metaphysician. He's also a leading mind and body man. But Dr. B, you got to listen very carefully, too, because it's very, very deep stuff we're going into. Before we left for the traffic and weather update, we're speaking with Ray in New York City. So, Ray, I'll let you pose your questions for Dr. B.
Right. And the other one, the peppermint oil. Now, I know if you mop your floor, I'm told, with peppermint oil, that will keep the roaches and mice away. And I bought a product after planning on bombing the place, then I'm going to mop the floor. So I want to know if that's true in your experience. With the deer, I want to know, do you think there was a lack of more cat-like animals or felines around her that made him not as afraid or, more willing to be around humans? And with the bull, since he was in a halal market, that, there wasn't the cats out, there, and that allowed the bull to keep a bull frame of mind to watch for a chance where he could break out of that death house.
Okay, I'm going to back into this. Peppermint oil and cinnamon oil and orange oil mixed together in a spray bottle will get rid of most of those creatures crawling around in the house.
Okay.
They can't deal with it. It plays with their antenna. Okay? Bugs communicate through chemical frequencies, electrical frequencies, through their antenna.
Okay.
Which takes me to the bull. Bulls, natural bulls that are virile, have horns. You don't cut the bull's horns off, because if you cut the bull's horns off, he loses power. The horns are picking up frequencies from the universe. This is the bull. This is a very powerful animal. Mm-hmm. The frequency is so strong that normally certain parasites like toxoplasma cannot take full control of the bull. Even man on farms have issues with these bulls. They got to do a lot of stuff to control the bull. Now, the females, the cows, are different, but it's the horns. They're frequency antennas. When your frequency antennas are strong and you're in your manhood or your womanhood, I'm talking about on a whole nother level, you begin to change the chemistry of your body, and the chemistry will help to protect you from being docile. I don't care what comes. There's people I know right now that's like, no matter what, they got power. They're going to have power. They're strong. They don't get upset. That bull represents, and that's why even in a lot of the holy books, they talk about the time of the bull. Why the bull? Because that's Taurus, and that's taurine. Taurine is a protein, that when you have enough taurine in your body, all of a sudden your blood vessels are able to hold the pressure. Your heart begins to beat correctly. Like for a lot of folks with high blood pressure, they should be using magnesium taurate. Magnesium taurate. If you have enough magnesium in your body, then your hormones won't drift, and your body can now deal with electrical flow better. We are bioelectrical creatures. That bull was alive and well and living the life. It was going to go. It'll go out and say, "Look, I'm going to be a bull no matter what. On my last breath, I'm going to be a bull." Now the deer is another story. I don't know the whole story about the deer, but a lot of times a lot of animals were brought up around humans. So they're not afraid of humans. They're trying to hang out. You know, they were brought up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? They're like, what's up?
Yeah,
So,
the deer came down into the city.
okay, but I'm trying to say that if the deer ate human food, if it was around people, that would cause it to already be pre-connected to the food and nutrition of human beings versus the natural food of the deer. Now you need is a couple parasites. Now, let me say another thing. You don't need to be around cats to get toxoplasma. If you live in the city, you've already got it. Because it's in the air now. It's the dust particle. It's everywhere. If you went over somebody's house and they have cats, or the neighbors got cats, and you sat on the couch, if you hit that couch, you're going to see dust come up out of it. Take a little bit of that dust, put it on a napkin, take it to a lab. You see all kinds of dust mites, bugs, pieces of skin, old pieces of hair, and you're going to see parasites living in that dust. They're in everything. These parasites, and I'm only speaking of one parasite, toxoplasma, but these parasites are the number one thing on the planet. They're everywhere. And it's not about trying to run from them. It's about building your immune system up mentally, physically, and spiritually so that you can eradicate these things every time the seasons change. If you don't, these parasites will cause high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, cancer, diabetes, hepatitis. Almost all the stuff we're talking about can be caused by toxicity that's left from parasites, or parasites controlling your mind, getting you to do things that are not natural for you as a powerful, original person to be doing.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
All right.
Thanks a
Ray.
lot.
All right.
Okay.
And Dr. B, hopefully you'll tell us about telomeres before you leave as well. Somebody tweeted that. 800-450-7876. Dick Gregory's joining us now. Greg, you're on with Dr. B. Is Greg there?
This is Lawrence, Carl.
Oh, okay. I thought I had Dick Gregory coming up. Anyway, go
Exactly.
ahead, Lawrence. Oh, it's right. Hang on a second, Lawrence. Dick Gregory's right there. Go ahead, Greg. I don't hear Dick Gregory. All right. I just heard him a minute ago. So go ahead, Lawrence. We'll figure out what's going on with Big Greg. Lawrence calling us from Texas. Lawrence?
Okay, Carl. Hey. Okay, Carl. Hey, good evening, Dr. B.
Good evening.
Hey, my brother, you know what? You're so spot on. Everything you're saying, I hate to say this, it seems like common sense, but Dr. William Leon checked me about that. He said, Lauren, common sense is not all that common. And, I was flabbergasted because that's spot on true, too. You'd think people would have common sense, but they don't. Because when you talk about these parasites, I remember reading a vegetarian book 40-something years ago when I first got into General Motors, and I tried being a vegan. I'm doing pretty good at it. I backslid, but the positive effects that I did get for the time that I was, paying close attention to what I eat, Dr. B, is it not true that you are not so much what you eat, but you are what you don't excrete? Is that a true, saying?
I think it's both. It's what you eat, too.
Okay.
That sounds like an excuse to eat ham hocks as long as you're going to the bathroom. I can't go there with you, brother. No, it's what you eat. It's what you think. It's how you act. It's how you walk. It's how you talk. It's how you live. And you got to let stuff go. Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You got to be able to let things go.
Hey, Dr. B, everything you said, I get, and I'm gonna pay close attention, and I'm gonna practice basically what you're doing. But this is what I was gonna throw at you, and I wanted you to expand on it. When you talk about these parasites, you're so spot on. I'm from Flint, Michigan, and I was telling people close to 20 years ago, it's in the water. Don't drink the water. And anybody from Flint, Michigan know you don't even stick your baby toe in the Flint River because it ain't that much purifying in the world. So when people started drinking the water, and then we've seen all these dramatic health effects, but even before they allegedly switched the water over, the uptick in crime, the mass killing, something like what we're seeing in Chicago. Would you not attribute some of this craziness, this crazy behavior? I'm inclined to believe that somebody is messing with the municipal water supply. Gregory talks to us about these chemtrails. I get that too, because what's in the air eventually falls to the ground. But what you say, or what you think that it is probable or highly probable that somebody is messing with our municipal water supply, not just in Flint, but around the country? What you say to that, Dr. B? That's what my question was.
All right. Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks for your call. Dr. B, are they messing with the water?
They're messing with everything. Your opponents will do everything they can to outsmart you, to outthink you. This is the art of war. And it's not just some people doing this. It's beings. This is a war of principality. This is on a whole nother cosmic level. I know we want to point to somebody we can see and say, they did it. The water is bad everywhere. I don't care where you get your water. On the planet, on Earth, the cows, chickens, and pigs that you eating are damaging the water more than the lead in Flint, Michigan. Believe me. Because the cows, chickens, and pigs, their excrement has nowhere to go. And they say in 50 years, we won't be able to live on the planet. Because it's going to be 5 feet of excrement from chickens, pigs, cows, and goats. Not from the automobiles and the lead. That's only 10% of the issue with the environment. But what is creating another problem in the environment is your own internal warfare. The fight that you have with yourself. These beings, they come on all different levels. And they are using your own life force energy against you until you rise up and say, no more. I'm going to cleanse my body. We need to do a 3-month cleanse. Let's do it. We need to fast for a certain amount of time. Let's do it. We need to walk, put our naked feet on the ground to discharge this electric energy. You see, there's a lot of static energy right now. And look at the last year or two. You know, the last year.
Hold that thought right there, Dr. B, because we got to take a break. We're closing in on the top of the hour. And also, Dick Gregory wants to talk to you. And I need you to get back on that static energy. What do we do in the wintertime here? And how do we do that? But I know you've got an answer for that. And I know you'll explain it, too, after this short break right here on AM 1450. And also, and he deals with all kinds. He's a holistic doctor as well. Dr. B covers many, many areas. If you've heard him before. Number to call to speak to him, 800-450-7876. Dr. B, I'm going to let you finish up what you're saying, and then hopefully we'll find Dick Gregory somewhere out there, because I know he's holding speak to you as well.
So what I'm saying is that you must let go of what no longer serves you. You have to let go of the cargo. Imagine you're a captain. Your body is the ship, the vessel. You must be the captain. But your body, your subconscious, all of the cells, the friendly bacteria inside your gut, those are the crew. But you must have a manifesto. You must plot a course. You must know exactly where you're going. You must know who is on the ship, who are your friends, your true friends. What information do you need to take in? Imagine this last year. Most people feel like we've been through a storm. We've been through a terrible storm with this whole selection process. It's no storm than the storm that's been happening naturally. You were just directed and selected and chose to look at something while they did something else. It doesn't make any difference what's going on out there. What's happening inside of you is more important than what's happening outside of you. So we got to discharge the static electricity. And we have to go outside, put our naked feet on the ground, or grab a tree. Did you know if you were on your cell phone and you were holding a tree or you had your naked feet on the ground, the microwave radiation would pass right through you and not harm you? You need to be grounded. We need to be grounded. And we need to...
I interrupt you and ask you, how do we do this in the wintertime? It's real cold out there, Dr. B.
There's 2 ways to do it. One,
okay.
Take a couple of deep breaths, take your shoes and socks, and walk out in the snow. Naked feet. Just for a few minutes. First of all, you're going to scream, you're going to holler, Do you know that right there, all 5, actually there's 7 oceans in your body, is called the humors. When you go through that heavy energy, that emotion, it begins to release stuff. It's like orgasm. Orgasm reorganizes the organism. But you got to get the old stuff out. Now, some people say, okay, I'm not going to go out this stuff. I'm just not going to do it, Dr. B. Well, put your naked feet on the concrete floor. It's got to be concrete. Can't be wood. Can't be linoleum tile on the floor. And just let them sit there for a few minutes and breathe deeply. That begins to discharge the static electricity. And you also got to take a break from the social media and all the rest of this stuff and make that maybe 10% of your life or less. Otherwise, you're done. Forget it. Don't worry about it. They got you. Because they lie. They create all kind of scenarios. This is a menagerie. A menagerie is like a zoo where they experiment on all the animals. And it's not people per se. There's being levels and levels of life that are causing this. And they're parasitic and they use your energy. Just like in the Matrix. The Matrix was a parasite using those people in those tubes and sucking that black liquid, which was melanin, sucking their life force out of them because the people had lost what? They had lost their manifesto. My grandmother used to say, don't be out there without a prayer. You got to be focused right now more than ever. What you eat, what you don't eat makes a very, very important, statement to who you are. And cleansing. Next week, this whole thing switches. This whole thing. Next week, when a serious A, B, and C rise above the horizon. It's a cosmic shift happening.
All right, 800-450-7876. Let's see, is Greg out there? Did Gregory out there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, go ahead, Greg.
I'm here.
Go ahead, you're on the air. Yeah, I can hear you great.
Dr. B, thank you, Brother Dick.
Thank you, brother.
I told Paul while you was on break, I'm trying to call all the white police I can call and say, that's the Negro y'all need to get. Need to rest of us. Take him out of here somewhere. I just thank you, brother. Thank you. And when the people find out that Trump, okay, he's a shadow. He ain't even real. And all you say, you black folks going around talking about you know this and you know that and you know that. And Trump, a thug, a hoodlum, he don't even know he's being used, because if we wasn't listening to this crap from him, we would understand what you're talking about, what is going to happen and at the end of next week. That's what the game is about. I told people after the election, any of y'all, if my mama was alive, it'd be her too, that voted for the lesser of the two evils, that's because you evil yourself. Okay? And you call Hillary the lesser, and the lesser you voted for didn't even win. And that's where it's running so fast now. And there, you talk about cats, you talk about bulls. Let me tell you something, especially you black folks. You think about slavery. They had something around me, they pulled me, they told me when I could have sex and when I couldn't have sex, when I could eat, when I could have a bath. That's what you do with that damn cat in your house. That's what you do with all them dogs you got. And now payday is coming. Okay? There's a God. I'm talking about the church. There's a real God. And that God looks at you with an animal in your house. God didn't make animals in the house. God didn't make animals to pull stuff from you, but you don't see that. And what this brother just gave you, what he just gave you, and before I get off, I just want to call the brother. Harry Truman signed in 1948 a treaty with the aliens, okay? The treaty. And now a whole lot of people know that. They scared because they want to be validated by you. And you know the real thing. You're automatically validated, okay? And so somewhere, Dr. B, I know who you are, because I know you studied under Ando, okay? And I know Ando came from another planet. I talked to him, and then Ando good enough. Oh, brother, don't give me that. I'm right here. Don't bring that other. And you said Ando, that is the master, and just a blessing that you able to meet the master. And so again, I'm saying the spring of this year, when spring comes in, it's a violation. There's a universal God that made 4 seasons, and this white boy told you we're going to change it. Daylight saving time ain't nothing. It's a trick. when God say 12 noon is 12 noon, and the white boy say, no, 12 noon now going to be at 1 o'clock, and all your vibrations is off. And so, y'all, and let me just leave with this. When you read your Bible, just read where it says, when 2 or more together in my name, I'm in the midst of it. And we so sucker crazy. Read it again. It didn't say people. It's talking about them sons. Read it. When 2 or more gather in my name, I'm in the midst of this. And they put it there and take all that stuff the Africans talking about trillions of years ago and changed it. Okay? So you running around reading that, but all you got to do is be grounded. When you ask Paul how you walk out in the wintertime, you know how many men would go to a whole house if the heat was off? You know how many? Oh, you crazy. It depends on what you want, okay, and how much you want it. And it's that same system. Now, let me say this here. Dr. B, the 2 suns that appeared over California still there now. And then since then, the one that appeared over China is still there now. And what you looking at trying to blame on Trump, we've been doing this, we've been watching this thing since 1930. And that's why 74 scientists, NASA scientists have been killed because they set up a network to tell everybody the spacecraft ain't nothing but a thug and a problem. They spending that money that you think going to space to hit that big thing that's moving. It used to move around this planet once every year. Now it's moving every day. And that's why they under Trump don't know what's going on. That's why they put him in office. And the first thing he did was put 5 generals in the cabinet because these white boys is crazy enough to think they're going to shoot it down. And I leave you with this. I know you know this, brother. It used to circle this planet once a year. Now it's circling every 24 hours. And that's what it's about. If the rich, white, trillionaire Republicans didn't want him to do what he's doing, they'd have put a bullet in his head like they did Kennedy. So I just thank you, brother. Love you. And what a treat it is just to be on the same planet with you. And if they don't believe, you didn't know nothing about this, man. You was drinking much whiskey and all the drugs and everything, chasing everything. You invented hip-hop, man. And then you found out with all that money, something was fixing to happen to you, and you changed it. I love you, man. Thank you, and peace to you.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
brother.
Greg.
I love you too.
And folks, in Baltimore, Dick Gregory's going to be in Baltimore this Saturday, the 18th at Metropolitan United Methodist Church. It's starting at 7 o'clock. The gates open at 6. A lot of stuff that he wants to discuss. You can't talk about it on the radio. So if you're in Baltimore, you're in D.C., you can drive up there as well. The weather's going to be a lot better than it is today. And that church, Metropolitan United Methodist Church, is at 1121 West Landvale Street. That's in Beemore. For more information, call 410-303-4120. That's 410-303-4120. See Dick Gregory this Saturday up in Baltimore. Coming up on a break, we got to take our last look at the traffic and weather in the DMV. And we'll come back. We'll take some more calls and also speak to Doctah B. As I mentioned, Doctah B is a metaphysician. He's also leading mind, body, man. He's also a holistic doctor. You got issues, too. He can help you out there on that page as well. So reach out to us. Again, the number is 800-450-7876. One more time for the number, 450-7876. And Frida's been home for a while. I hope she's still with us on line 5. She's in Raleigh, North Carolina. Frida, you still with us? I'm not hearing Frida. Maybe Frida left us. She's there?
I'm here.
Frida?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much for taking my call. I wanted to ask Dr. B if you recommend meridian stress assessments as a good way to diagnose parasites. I know most of us are overridden with parasites. Also, if whether or not tick bites, different illnesses that come from, tick bites, if that predisposes us to more, parasitic pathogens, as well as traveling to other countries, or if your parent maybe was in a war, Vietnam War, so to speak. And I ask that that because I had a meridian stress assessment, which said that I was exposed to parasites from other places that I've never been to. The only place that I could think of was my dad was in Vietnam, and if whether or not him being there had some effect on me.
Wow, that's deep. And let's push it a little further down the street, Dr. B. Could your mate, your friend, your boyfriend, husband, brother, sister, could they pass them on to you as well? And Frida, thank you for your call. Dr. B?
Thank you.
One of the most convenient ways for these beings to pass from one person to another is through sexual contact. Okay? When you start studying toxoplasma, in fact, if you go to, just go to YouTube and type toxoplasma in humans, you'll see a scientist with a beard. And he talks about how the parasite will cause a person to mate with somebody just to move from one person to another. It'll cause you to be in relationships with somebody who you're not evenly yoked with. They're not on the same. It's like the talk. You let the talk get you. You know, when you first meet somebody, you get a gut feeling. But sometimes that talk and the flash and whatever they do during the courting process causes you to agree. So a lot of these parasites are causing you to connect with someone else who may have a weakened immune system or have a certain type of electrochemical activity in their body, which is more conducive for the parasite to lay eggs in. The number one parasite on the planet, is actually given to people through mosquitoes. You know what parasite that is? You got to get shots for it. You travel all over the world. They need to give you shots for what? Think about it.
West Nile.
Malaria. Malaria is the number one parasite on the planet. It kills more people than almost any other illness. Its cousin, check this out. Its cousin, which is a mutated version, is called toxoplasma. He's number two. Do you know toxoplasma? Most people who have traffic accidents where they're speeding, when they find those people and test their blood, they have toxoplasma. Whenever a person, doctors know, I have a friend who used to be an ambulance driver. If they have a person who has a motorcycle accident from speeding, and they have a head injury and some of their brain is exposed or out, they do not touch that brain. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that when you're pregnant, you are not supposed to have any cats in the house. Why is that? Because if toxoplasmosis gets in gets in the baby's brain does not develop. Now, I'm only speaking of two parasites. There's 2,000 parasites that have been identified as living in humans. They're on particles of dust. They're on water vapor all over the planet. They're everywhere. See, so even though you may not have been in certain parts of the country, you're breathing the air. That everything else that breathed the air has breathed. Does that make sense how I said that? There's only a certain amount of air. We're breathing the air that the ancient people breathed. You see? And the water, where's the water coming from? It comes down in the rain. The rain does not come from your town. The rainwater is collected from water vapor from all over the world. So these parasites, tapeworms, pinworms, roundworms, flatworms, flukeworms, there's so many different kinds of them. Yes, you're going to have them if you live on the planet. If you touch the doorknob, you're at the escalator and put your hand on that rubber rail. You know what I'm saying? If you touch money, you're going to have this. Everybody, even if you get the meridian check, yeah, of course you've been exposed to parasites. You live on the planet. They're natural. They're actually a little more natural here than you because they're doing better at survival than we are. So my point is that whether you think you have them or not, you probably do. You cleanse, you detoxify. And this is why I developed a very special protocol, a 28-day protocol. You can't do it in a week. You can't just take a little black walnut and wormwood and cloves. Well, you can, but that's only going to deal with the intestinal parasites. My specialty is systemic parasites. Parasites throughout the system. Toxoplasma is in your brain. See, between your body and your brain, there is this thing called the blood-brain barrier. It stops things from infecting the brain. Even most herbs won't get to the brain. There's only a few that will. You have to get to things that can get in the brain and actually begin to decode, and break down the computer code of these parasites. Some of them are like computers, and it's like becoming a hacker. And what I found in my research, that there were 11 mushrooms on the planet that could hack into the code of a whole lot of these mental parasites. Now, there's other things that we use for the physical body. There's 11 mushrooms, because mushrooms are your closest relatives. 65% of your DNA you share with mushrooms, not monkeys and all of that stuff they keep telling you. That's somebody else. They're not talking about you. So these mushrooms are very intelligent. They get in the body. Their spores take over. They have computer codes that go into the core of these parasites, of these specific parasites. I'm talking about the ones in the brain, and shut them down. So I created this thing called the Master Mushroom Tonic just for that. But you can't just do that. You've also got to do the 28-day program that works on the parasites that live throughout the rest of the body, because through the vagus nerve, which connects your brain, your heart, and your intestines, right? They all are a separate system. They actually communicate very well. Your largest brain is in your skin, number one. Number two is your digestive tract. Number three is your heart. The fourth brain is in your head. So it's your body. So what we have to do is we have to do a biochemical balancing using these herbs and these mushrooms over a 28-day to 3-month period to get your body to begin to shift its electrobiochemical field to get rid of all this stuff. But it has to be done very carefully. There's music that you need to listen to. There's relationships that you need to have, and there's a way that you need to eat to be able to do this, efficiently. So that's what I offer, and that's what I'm telling folks. You may have, and then people that were in the military. Somebody mentioned to me the other day that one of the shots they gave them is called toxo. And I began to wonder, what would make the troops naturally run towards gunfire and explosion? What would make you do that? Toxoplasma will make you do it. Run right into hell and don't even realize you're there, and did it willingly, thinking you're fighting the devil when you have become the devil. Oh, don't get me.
Brady, I thank you for your call. 800-450-7876. Mindy's reaching out to us. Mindy's in Maryland on line 3. Mindy, you're on with
Hello?
Doctah B.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
Mindy, you're on the air. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm dealing with a major health challenge. I am dealing with sarcoma mass that's 28 inches in size on the shoulder area. And I did seek treatment as a result of the treatment that was sought. 2 biopsies were performed, and as a result of the biopsies, before the mass was like the size of a walnut, but it's grown to the 28 inches. It's now escalated to an open wound. It's draining. I guess I'm seeking any possible suggestions and as to how to possibly remedy the situation. It's caused a major challenge for me.
All right, Dr.
One,
B.
you should call me. Call me on that, and we could discuss some possibilities. My number is 323-931-1212. 323-931-1212. That's 323-931-1212. And I'm going to give you 3 things that you might try immediately. Check your house to see if you have a smart meter on the wall.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Number two, cut off all electronic devices in your bedroom when you go to bed. All of them, off, totally out of the room, off.
Okay.
Number 3, celery. Eat celery,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
watercress,
Yes, sir.
watercress,
Yes, sir.
and I think they're called mustard greens.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Try eating those. That'll bring up your electrical flow because your electrical flow is a little low right now. And give me a call, and then we could discuss some options.
Okay, I sure will. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back out. We got some more folks who want to speak to you, Dr. B. Number to call to reach him, 800-450-7876. All your calls next as the big show rolls up.
Your heart and your blood vessels have a lot of this taurate. You know, it's like a protein. And we don't get enough of it because the way we eat is, how can I say, we're not absorbing everything that we're eating, and what we're eating is not totally absorbable. So when you are attempting to keep your blood vessels, supple and not hard and brittle, then there is this magnesium taurate or taurine. Some people call it taurine, some people call it taurate. It's a special type of supplement just for the blood system. Works very well.
All right, we got a bunch of folks out there who want to speak, so we can shut up the answers. I appreciate it. 800-450-7876. Sandra's calling from the district. Sandra, you're on with Dr. B.
Hi, Dr. D. Thank you so much for all that you are offering us. I want to ask you about body hygiene, and more specifically, I want to hear you talk about any recommendations that you have just in terms of bathing. For example, should we add Epsom salt to our bath? Should we avoid certain kinds of cleansers or use other cleansers over one? Another question I have is about water. What kind of water should we be drinking? Should it be distilled? Should it be spring water? Should we add something to the water like lemon or vinegar or something like that? And the last question is, can you talk a little bit more about fasting? What would a regular program of fasting look like? Once a month, once a week? What would a regular pattern of fasting look like?
All right.
Can you go back to? Can you give me the first one again?
The first one was hygiene.
Just body hygiene.
Yeah, and if you can tell us, Dr. B, add on to that, too, about deodorants. What kind of deodorants one should use?
Yeah, also deodorants, right. Thank you, Cole.
All right, thanks, Sandra. Dr. B?
Mm-hmm.
We should use 100% vegetable oil soaps. 100% vegetable oil soaps. There's several of them at the health food stores. If you would like to get really clean in the tub or even in the shower, use baking soda. Take baking soda, put it on your towel or on your hand, and then put your soap with it and use the baking soda because the baking soda breaks down certain bonds, certain bioelectrical bonds that actually cause your skin to actually be too alkaline. Your skin needs to be acid. That's why putting honey and things like that on the skin really help because the skin needs to be acid. And a lot of things that we're using are stripping the natural oils because a lot of oils are acidic. And we do need acids on the skin. So baking soda, you can also put baking soda, sea salt, pink salt, even if it's Epsom salt, you can put that in your tub. If you're doing a deep, deep spiritual bath, cleansing from the toxicity of people around you, you may want to put up to 5 cups of sea salt or salt, any type of salt in your bathtub. Shampoos should be totally natural. They shouldn't be these anti-dandruff shampoos and all that because they cause more dandruff. Use the best soap that you can and rinse it well. And then put coconut oil. Coconut oil is a great thing to put in your hair afterwards. Now, as far as deodorants, if you're using something that keeps you from sweating, is clogging up your pores, your lymphatic system cannot work correctly, and you're pulling in, right, all of the chemicals in that deodorant. Like what's this, aluminum chlorhydrate? What is that? You don't want aluminum in your body because it shuts down your nervous system. You see? So you want to find a natural deodorant, and like the health food store, there's several of them that are totally natural. You see? And a lot of folks just use magnesium salt under their arms. They rub salt under their arms or lemon. You see? And that's another thing. We go to the water. Yes, add lemon to your water. That's a great way to make the water more alkaline. If you're using an alkaline water machine, you're buying alkaline water, it's best to put it in glass, not plastic, because the minute you put it in plastic, it becomes, infused with the plastic. The plastic outgasses into the water. And use alkaline water when you awake in the morning and when you go to bed. Do not use alkaline water anywhere around the time when you're eating because you cannot digest your food. I have a lot of clients who use alkaline water all day long and their digestive tract is shut down. You see, use alkaline water in the morning and before you go to bed, or at least an hour before or an hour after you've eaten your food. Now, I like spring water the best. 100% spring water in glass. There's a couple companies, you go to a health food store, you say you want spring water in glass. There's also people that will deliver it to your home, you see. I use distilled water if I'm making a formulation, because I'm a formulator, I make a lot of products, because distilled water has nothing in it. So it's able to attract more of the energy, the essence, and the phytonutrients that are in the herbs into them. But at the same time, if you're drinking distilled water and you're attempting to get nutrition, the water absorbs your nutrition. If you use this distilled water too much, it'll begin to leach minerals from your body, and your body needs minerals. Now, there's a couple products that you can put, there's drops that you can put in your water that actually add the minerals. There are ionic minerals that you can pick up. But I only use distilled water if I'm making a program or if I'm cleansing, if I'm doing a deep cleanse. And you could put just a little pinch of salt in your water, which helps to balance it, which helps it to have more electrical life force, because most water is dead. Water's got to be moving to be alive. See, once it's not moving, it's dead. And water is a living crystal. I think I've answered all of them, have I?
No, she talked about fasting as well.
Fasting is good as long as you know what type of fast you're doing for your body. Now, some folks just do a water fast, and I notice folks that do a water fast, when they get off, to eat everything in sight, everything they couldn't eat during the fast. Somebody told me they were doing the Daniel fast, and they couldn't get off so they could go down and eat chitlin. I couldn't believe it. They were serious, too. Folks look at me dead in my eyes. There, Dr. B, I can't wait till I get off this fast. I got ham hocks, and I got this stuff in the freezer. I got it from my aunt. I'm like, wow, this is really deep. Why are you fasting? You see? But we should stop eating at certain certain periods of time. Let your body rest. Let your body digest what you've already taken in. Fast from certain amounts of talk. There's times we shouldn't be talking. That's another type of fasting. Or let's say you just eat fruit. That's a fast too, only eating fruit or only eating vegetables. You might pick one thing. Then there's, the old lemonade fast. A lot of folks do that with the cayenne pepper and the lemon and the grade B maple syrup. I suggest they add what's called chlorophyll, liquid chlorophyll to that, because it can become a little too abrasive on the teeth and it makes the gums shrink after a while. So you might need to add some chlorophyll to that. So fasting is good. This is a good time of year to fast because everybody picks up a little bit of energy and weight from the wintertime. The body naturally collects more fat during the winter to protect it from the cold, you see. So this is a good time for fasting, cleansing, and getting rid of toxicity on all levels, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of it. Fast. Let go.
800-450-7876. Johnny's reaching out to us. He's on line 3. He's calling from Long Beach, California. Johnny, you're on with Dr. B.
Hey, Carl. How you doing, Dr. B?
Good day.
Hey. Dr. B, I was trying to ask you about black oil seed. Do you know anything about it, or is it a good product to purchase?
Black seed oil, which is Nigella sativa, or black cumin seed from the Nile, is very powerful. Extremely powerful. I use it in several of my products. You just want to get a good source, make sure it's organic. You can get the actual seeds. You can put them in food, or some people just chew the seeds up, take like a quarter of a tablespoon. It's really pungent. And you can also use the oil, but keep the oil in the refrigerator because it needs to be cool.
Now,
what is it for?
Dr. B,
hang on a second, Johnny. What's that for, Dr. B? He just says it's real good. What is it for?
Well, it is mentioned by Muhammad in the Quran as it cures everything but death. It is also mentioned in the Bible by several names. Don't quote me right now, but there's a couple places in the holy books where they mention this particular seed. And it works on boosting the electrical energy of your body. Remember I said earlier, we're bioelectrical beings. So this boosts the energy so that your body can do what it needs to do naturally. So all parts of the body begin to respond to black seed because it's like pure black, original source electricity.
All right, John.
Okay, what about apple cider vinegar? Does that have any health benefits, or is it something that people should take on a daily basis, or they should stay away from it? I'm just curious.
Huge amounts of malic acid is in the apple cider vinegar. That malic acid begins to burn out the residual calcium in your body from things like dairy products. Some people have too much calcium, which can cause hardening of the arteries and things like that. They have too much lactic acid from dairy products and things like that, and this helps to burn it out. It's very good. It also has friendly bacteria which begin to repopulate the intestinal flora.
So is this something that people should incorporate in their everyday activities, or make sure that it's limited, like maybe a tablespoon, like two tablespoons of each day, would that be sufficient?
I do.
I do. Tell you what, Dr. B, hang on a second. Johnny, I thank you because we got to take a quick break here. I'll let Dr. B, well, he already answered it. We'll take some more calls next, right here on AM 1450 and also FM 95.9. Certified metaphysician is also a holistic doctor and is a leading body and mind man. And we haven't even gotten into the music part of it yet, or the telemedicine folks are asking about. But before we get back to Dr. B, let me just remind you some of the people who are going to be stopping by in the next few days. Power Talkers. Dr. Pat Newton is going to be here. Also, Tony Browder is going to break open another Browder file for us. Activist David Banner is going to stop by. Hollywood activist, executive rather, Tim Hutchinson is going to be here as well. So tell your friends to keep it locked on AM 1450 and FM 95.9. Dr. B, before I take another call for you, people are asking how do they get in touch with you. Do you want to give out your number one more time?
My phone number is 323-931-1212. That's 323-931-1212. And my website is elevationtime.com. That's elevationtime, Time, elevationtime.com. And we have specials up there for the listeners.
800-450-7876. Tanya's calling us on line 5. Tanya's calling us from L.A. Tanya, you're on with Dr. B.
Yes, hi, Dr. B. I have a question. I want to know, what with the signs, if you feel like fluttering in your ears, like waves, and that's one question. And the second question would be, what's your take on how they've legalized medicinal marijuana for healing in California? Thank you.
Well, the fluttering in your ears, it could be bacterial, could be viral, could be parasitic. I'd recommend that we do a 28-day minimum total body paracleanse program. The total body paracleanse program to help rejuvenate your body's equilibrium, to get the parasites out, to make sure it's not that. Okay. Sometimes this fluttering that we're hearing is there's water, there's a liquid in your ears, and sometimes it's off. Or there could be water stuck in your ear from sometimes when you were underwater or got it wet. Could be a lot of things. I start with everything with a cleanse. The Total Body Paracleanse program, I don't care what it is. If we don't get rid of the parasites, we can't get to the root of the problem. And many times when folks do the cleanse, after 28 days or 3 months, depending on what you decide to do, the problem goes away because we've detoxed the body or we've gotten rid of the thing that's causing the problem. Parasites can cause almost everything from cancer, diabetes, itchy skin, mood changes, sexual dysfunction. Speaking of sexual dysfunction, I'm going to talk about that before we leave. But I would just, go to the website, look at the Total Body Paracleanse, and see if that fits your needs, and do that first.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Before I take another call, Dr. E, the last time you were here with Dr. Dre, are you still working on a project with him?
Yeah, we're working on a project that should be coming out sometime next year. working on funding for that. But it's a big product, big project, and has to do with dealing with diabetes and the roots of diabetes and how people can overcome diabetes.
Yeah, because he sounded real different when he was on with you. Sounds like he's more aware of what's going on. But yeah, thank you for that conversation we had with Dr. Trey last time you were here. 800-450-7876. Robin's calling us from Maryland on line 1. Robin, you're on with Dr. B.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. B. Hi, Paul. I had a question with people who suffer with mental illness like bipolar disorders. Is there some treatment for that person?
Now let's act like you didn't hear me say this, okay? And I'm going to say it in a very special way so that I don't say it. Okay. I have heard and I have seen people's whole lives change when they incorporate niacin in a very special sequence, niacin, into their daily supplement regimen, along with CBD oil, which the lady was talking about medical marijuana. It's a component of medical marijuana, CBD. And I put together a special program just for people. Like if you call me and tell me you have a specific issue, then I put together a protocol that helps your body balance itself with that issue, you see. But a lot of folks who are having this mental imbalance, right, has to do with blood flow. And it also has to do with the hem of the garment. The hem of the garment is a Stedman's medical dictionary term, which is the coating of the brain. The covering of the brain is called the hem of the garment. And if that is too thin, then you're going to get too much static electricity, and then we have all of these imbalances. So we cover all of that in the protocol. So give me a call, 323-931-1212, and we can put together a protocol especially for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
800-450-7876. Yvonne is reaching out to us. She's on line 3, calling from the district. Yvonne, you're on with Dr. B.
Yes, thank you, Dr. B. One quick question. What about boil water? Can you still boil your own water? I used to boil my water back in the 70s. And if it's okay, how long should you boil it?
Well, you could boil it till the water boils out. It's not going to change too much because we used to boil water because of bacteria.
Right.
The things that are really, really bad in the water may not be the bacteria. It's the heavy metals, it's the chemicals, it's the preservatives, things like that. A lot of people have these preservatives in their water, which cause excitotoxins to be lodged in the brain. And these excitotoxins cause the brain and the nervous system to fire over and over and over. So it's not boiling of the water. You need to get some good spring water. I don't know of any tap water anywhere in the world that I drink that they're giving me. No, I don't think that is a very intelligent thing to do. And if you have to, get some cloves, get a handful of cloves and throw them in your water with some lemon. That'll help kill off some of the bacteria. But other than that, crush it.
Cloves and lemon. You said cloves and lemon. Throw it in there.
Lemon. Yes.
Wow.
Cloves, C-L-O-V-E-S, right?
Cloves. The ones you stick in the ham to kill the worms in the ham.
Right. I know. Yeah, and lemon. Yeah. And you say, but spring water. Spring water. What about that Deer Park? That's supposed to be spring water, right?
Supposed to be. I hope it is. You better pray over it too. Everything no matter what they say, you gotta become powerful. You have to be able to override all of this with your mind. You have to stay focused and don't think or live as a victim, no matter what. That's very important. Pray over your water. It's a very powerful thing.
I am a prayer warrior. Thank you much. Bye-bye.
All righty. Thanks, Yvonne. Dr. B, telomeres. They want more information on telomeres because you're only one of the. I know the other folks are talking about it, but in our community, you're the only one I know who's really talking about telomeres.
Well, telomeres are the ends of your genes. They hang down like little shoestrings. And at the end of these little shoestrings are little, they fray off, just like a shoestring does. If that little cap comes off of your shoestring, you get those little pieces, they fray off. Those are the telomeres. The length of those little strings tells your body how many times the cells can reduplicate and repair themselves. And it also tells the cell how long it has to live. Cells should only live a certain amount of time. They have a process called apoptosis. That's cell death timing. The cell should live no further past this time than 1 day. So if a cell reaches its peak and it starts slipping on the job of estrogen is to come and kill that cell. Most people's estrogen is out of balance because we've got, too much is what they call estrogen dominance. And that's a whole program right there, which causes the body not to be able to, it won't kill that cell on time. So what happens is the telomere cap, which is a little cap around the telomeres, does the same thing on your shoestring. It protects the telomeres so that your body can heal itself faster and you don't age as fast. But the telomere cap, it gets, eaten away from stress, worry, sadness. Fear is a big one. Eat your telomeres up big time. Fear of the enemy, or I'm going to go out and they're going to do something to me, or somebody's going to take something. Fear eats your telomeres. The telomere cap is made of a very special material. So, I was asked years ago, what can you do about the telomeres? So I studied and found these elements. They are gold, iridium, platinum, and palladium, humic acid, fulvic acid, and there's 4 plants. These begin to repair the telomere cap. And I'm going to just talk about one of these elements. These are what they call monoatomic elements. This one called iridium. Iridium is your body's time clock. It's the rhythm master. It's the tempo keeper. It's like the drummer. This is a very rare element. You're not going to find it in any food in America. You see, this thing begins to tell your body what time it is, when to cleanse, when to detoxify, when to wake up. And on an emotional level, when to talk, when to be quiet, when to make love, when to let go. It's a clock. It's called iridium. Please look it up. Monoatomic iridium. So I created this product called Platinum Life Elixir, which has all of these things in it. Not only does it help your body's time clock, it protects you energetically. It's like your spiritual energy. They can't touch you because it seals you up. It makes a force field around you. And the last thing it does is it pulls heavy metals out of your body. I don't know of anything else that's going to get rid of heavy metals like this, because it doesn't get rid of that heavy metals. It seals them up in these little tubes. They look like a little UFOs. It seals them up. It makes them really smooth. It either converts them to minerals that your body can use. These are heavy metals, which are normally toxic, or it gets rid of them through the urinary tract. These are heavy metals, which is another big problem. The biggest problems we have is parasites, which is viruses, bacteria, worms, all of those things, toxicity, dehydration, the lack of sleep, right, and fear. Those are the things, the emotional body. Those are the things that cause us the most illness, which damages the telomeres. The telomeres are antennas. They're listening to the cosmos. This is how God or the cosmos talks to you through your telomeres. That's why they're called tell. People are not even connected. They say they believe in God, but we don't have the right life force energy and the right ingredients and minerals in us to be able to pick up the message that God is sending. Sometimes God says, shut up, and you keep talking. You see?
Right. Hang on, because we're racing the clock. So let me ask you this. Yeah. How soon would you see the difference if you start taking these telomeres? Will you get younger? Can you ditch your glasses, or will you just arrest the aging process?
For a lot of people, the situation is so far gone, it may just slow down the aging process. But I do know of some people, like Mr. Gregory. I mean, come on, how old is this man? I mean, he'd come to my room at 3 a.m. talking about let's go jog. Are you crazy? We just went to bed an hour ago. What is he doing? But he knows about these elements. He gets them. He finds them. And when he came to me and he saw what I had, he said, Dr. B, this is incredible. I need something stronger. So we made the triple strength just for Dick Gregory and people like him. But some people see it instantly. It takes a few months. But most people say their sense of balance and their core energy changes almost immediately. This is from the Platinum Life Elixir. There's the original and then there's the triple strength. And I do have a special on the website where you get the cleanse, you get the special vitamin C, which everybody's deficient in, and you get the Platinum Life Elixir in one package. And I also have a new package, which was, people made me get it, and it's the total package. It's got almost everything that I have to offer
Dr. B,
in one
we're
package.
running out of time, so give us your phone number, or your website, and how folks can reach you.
ElevationTime.com is the website. ElevationTime.com. The phone number is 323-931-1212. That's 323-931-1212. And there are specials on the website until Sunday for the listeners. Until Sunday, 323-931-1212, ElevationTime.com. On the 21st of this month, it's time to rise. It's time to get busy. It's time to wake up, get up, and make this thing happen, because the world is ours. We are re-inheriting the earth.